Hello everyone, welcome to Eerie Flicks once again. Today's story is quite astonishing because it's a true tale from my friend's life. I hope that after hearing this story, you will be amazed too, as it is the story of a boy named Sam who had an encounter with a witch. Let's hear Sam's story in his own words. This incident dates back to around 2010 when I was studying in college. I belonged to a middle-class family and I had a strong liking for a girl. She also attended the same college, but her background was from a rather modern family. After some time, we started talking to each other. My friends often tried to make me understand that this girl might not be right for me, but I didn't believe them. But one day, as I was leaving for home after attending the college farewell party, I had just reached the parking area when my friends called out to me from behind. They asked me to come with them, saying they wanted to show me something. I followed them, and there I saw that the girl was actually cheating on me. When I approached her and asked why she did that, she replied that she was just passing her time with me because there was a significant difference in our social statuses. Upon hearing this response, I felt a deep sense of sadness and began my journey home. As I walked, I was troubled by these thoughts, and I couldn't help but lament my financial situation. During this time, I happened to pass by a graveyard, and suddenly I felt my bike becoming significantly heavier. However, I was so preoccupied with my troubles that I didn't pay much attention to it. When I reached home, it was nearly 2 or 2:30 in the night. I was quite saddened and angry, struggling to comprehend why all of this was happening to me. In that state of mind, I immediately went to my room, took out all the letters from that girl, and headed outside with them. As I was about to leave the house, I felt as if someone was following me. When I stepped out, it was eerily quiet outside, as it was quite late at night. As I was burning those letters from the girl, I suddenly heard a voice while they were still ablaze. When I turned around, there was no one nearby, and I thought it might be my imagination. As I started walking back towards the house, I suddenly noticed someone standing in front of me, continuously staring at me. Due to the darkness, I couldn't see clearly who it was, but then I thought it might be the night watchman on duty. Afterward, I returned to the house. When I entered my room, I noticed that my cupboard and drawers were open, but as far as I could recall, I hadn't opened anything besides the cupboard. I closed everything again and lay down on my bed. Despite lying down for quite some time, sleep eluded me. My head began to feel increasingly heavy, as if someone was pressing it forcefully. In the midst of this, I started hearing footsteps from the drawing room, as if someone was walking rapidly. I quickly got up, went out of my room and looked around, but there was no one there. I thought maybe a family member had come for some work or to fetch something. I lay back on my bed again, keeping my room door half open. As I was about to fall asleep, suddenly the door of my room closed by itself, but I continued lying down and eventually fell asleep. The next day, when I woke up, my condition was the same. My head felt heavy and my whole body ached. I couldn't understand what was suddenly happening to me. My health was deteriorating rapidly. I couldn't eat anything as food was getting stuck in my throat, and I felt a tightness in my chest. During those days, my condition was so severe that even drinking water became a struggle. I would finish a glass of water within an hour, just so I could drink comfortably without feeling choked. As a result, my health continued to deteriorate. The following night, my left hand suddenly started turning upside down, as if it had been paralyzed. Seeing me in such a critical condition, my family became extremely worried. My weakness was increasing, and I couldn't stand up. As it had been 3 to 4 days without eating anything, my parents took me to various doctors, hoping one of them would have a solution. I underwent several medical tests, but all the reports came back normal. I continued to receive injections and take different medicines morning and evening, but my condition didn't improve. My left hand had completely turned upside down, and the doctors were unable to understand the reason behind it. The news of my condition had spread everywhere, and our relatives had stopped visiting. Then, one day, a religious scholar visited our house. After seeing my condition, he requested to speak with me alone. The religious scholar sat with me and asked me to share everything that was happening to me. I explained to him that for the past 3 to 4 days, it felt like someone was calling me with a voice. My head felt extremely heavy as if someone was pressing it forcefully, and my left hand had turned upside down forcibly. Despite my attempts to correct it, it wouldn't go back to normal. After hearing all this, the religious scholar recited something and stopped me from taking any medication. The religious scholar assured me that you would recover completely, but advised me not to go to anyone if called, or if you heard a voice. After that, the religious scholar left, instructing my family to recite a particular verse and blow on water to make me drink it in the morning and evening. My mother started doing this from that day. I felt a sense of calmness and relief whenever the verses were recited, and during this time I could eat a little. I found solace only when the recitation was ongoing. After that, my head would become heavy again, and my body would ache. Then, that same night as I lay down, suddenly, when I opened my eyes and turned, there was a beautiful girl standing right in front of me. Seeing her, I was frightened and started trembling. She mentioned my name and reassured me, saying, "Sam, don't be afraid. I am your friend. I will never deceive you, and I will always be with you. Come with me. I've come to take you." I immediately took the water that had been blessed. And as I took that water, the appearance of that girl changed. I cannot describe in words. She was a terrifying witch. Her tangled hair was falling in front of her face, and her mouth was distorted. Her neck was broken, and she was glaring at me angrily. I was filled with terror, my voice completely silenced, and I felt as if my heart would burst. The witch suddenly approached me, and when I screamed loudly, my family rushed to me, but by then I had already lost consciousness. And when my eyes opened, I was in the hospital. I was terrified, and my fear had deeply disturbed my entire family. I spent 2 days in the hospital, and a family member stayed with me every day. That's why I didn't feel anything unusual in the hospital. I was still drinking the blessed water, but my hand wasn't fully recovering, and I experienced significant weakness. When I returned home from the hospital, my family called the religious scholar again. I hesitantly shared the details of that night with him, and he instructed me on additional verses to recite. He told me that if I ever felt something like that again, I should recite these verses. I started reciting these verses daily and followed the instructions given by the religious scholar. Gradually, my hands and overall condition started improving, and the fear in my heart diminished. After a few days, I fully recovered. Upon recovering, I went to thank the religious scholar, and he explained that the witch had come behind me from the graveyard when I passed by it. Such malevolent entities often target depressed individuals, making them vulnerable to self-harm, so that they can take them along with themselves. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such tales and incidents. If you have any similar experiences or stories to share, feel free to send them to our provided email address.